Hey guys, YouTube says most of you watching aren't subscribed. If that's you, help a small channel grow. Takes a second. I post stories every day.
She said, "I'm too evolved for a traditional relationship," then cheated. I replied, "I appreciate your honesty." I then pursued a traditional relationship by asking her father for his blessing to date his other unmarried daughter who I had always gotten along with. The first sign that my relationship was doomed should have been the book club. My girlfriend of 4 years, Sandra, 28F, didn't even like to read, but she joined a book club because, as she put it, it was about engaging with challenging ideas, not just reading. The books they read had titles like Quantum Entanglement and The Monogamous Illusion and Deconstructing Desire, a postmodernist approach to love. They were less a book club and more a support group for people who wanted to sound interesting at parties. I'm a pretty straightforward guy. I, 30 male, co-own a small microbrewery with my best friend. I like making good beer. I like Premier League football on Saturday mornings, and I like having a partner I can trust. For the first 3 years, Sandra was that person. We were a great team. Then she met a new group of friends at a yoga retreat, and the book club was born. Suddenly, our simple, happy life wasn't enough. It was unexamined. Our monogamy wasn't a choice. It was a social construct we hadn't challenged. It was around this time that I got to know her family really well, which is a crucial part of this whole mess. Her dad, Tom, is a fantastic guy, an old-school, no-nonsense mechanic who runs his own garage. We bonded almost instantly over a shared love for old cars and a deep suspicion of anything described as artisanal. Her mom is sweet, and then there's her younger sister, Emily. Emily is the opposite of Sandra. She's a veterinarian, she's funny in a dry, witty way, and she has zero patience for nonsense. We always got along great, like siblings. We'd team up at family gatherings to make fun of the same weird cousin, or talk about movies while Sandra was trying to explain the philosophical implications of a new Netflix show to her confused grandmother. There was never, ever anything more than a great friendship there. She was just the cool, normal sister. Over the last year, Sandra's evolution started to accelerate. She began talking about how traditional relationships were a cage, and how she was feeling constrained by my conventional expectations. What were these conventional expectations? That she might not flirt outrageously with our waiter at dinner, or that she might come home at a reasonable hour when she was out with her incredibly profound new friend, Julian. Julian was the lead philosopher of the book club, a guy with a trust fund, a philosophy degree he used as a personality, and a wardrobe of artfully distressed sweaters. Sandra insisted they were just friends who had a deep intellectual connection. I, a simple man who makes beer, just thought he was a sleazy guy who used big words to get laid. The big confrontation happened about 2 months ago. I found texts on her phone. I know, I shouldn't have looked, but she left it open on the coffee table, and I saw Julian's name pop up with a message that read, "Last night was a truly transcendent convergence of energies." I'm not proud of it, but I looked, and it was exactly what you'd expect. Pages of them talking about their profound connection, which had apparently converged right into a hotel room the night before. The messages were full of the same pseudo-intellectual garbage she'd been spouting for months, justifying their affair as something beautiful and evolved. I didn't explode. I just felt this wave of cold, tired disappointment wash over me. I had seen this coming for a year. I waited for her to get home. I sat her down on the couch and just said, "I saw the texts with Julian." She didn't even have the decency to look ashamed. She took a deep breath, as if she were about to deliver a TED Talk, and said, "I knew this would be hard for you to understand, Mark. But my connection with Julian transcends traditional labels. I'm just too evolved for a traditional relationship anymore." I swear to God, she said those exact words. I looked at this woman I had spent 4 years of my life with, and I felt nothing. The love had been chipped away over months of her condescension, and this was the final piece breaking off. "I appreciate your honesty," I replied, my voice completely flat. She smiled, relieved. "Thank you for trying to understand," she said, as if she were granting me a great favor. She genuinely thought we were going to have a conscious uncoupling and that I'd just accept being the stable, boring home base she came back to when she was done converging her energies with Julian. She had no idea that my appreciation for her honesty was actually my resignation from the relationship. The next day I broke up with her. It was quiet and final. I told her I wasn't evolved enough for her new lifestyle and that I needed her to move her things out of my apartment. The meltdown was epic. She accused me of being rigid, of not trying, of throwing away our love. It was a masterclass in gaslighting. I just stood there until it was over and then said, "You have 2 weeks." That should have been the end of it. But a few days later, her dad, Tom, called me. He said Sandra had told him we'd broken up, but her version of the story was that I was being controlling and jealous. He sounded so disappointed, and I couldn't let him think that of me. So I told him the truth. I told him about Julian, about the texts, about what she had said. There was a long silence on the other end of the line. "I see," he finally said, his voice heavy. "Mark, I'm sorry. For what it's worth, you've been a better son to me than some of my own family. You're a good man." That call meant the world to me, and it opened a door. A few days later, Emily, the sister, texted me. "Dad told me what happened. I'm so sorry, Mark. She can be a lot. Hope you're doing okay." That text started a conversation. We texted for a few days, then we got coffee, just to talk. It was so easy, so normal. We talked about her work at the vet clinic, about a new batch of IPA I was brewing. We complained about our respective families. There was no pretense, no buzzwords, no condescension. It was just a real conversation. We started hanging out more. As friends, we'd grab dinner once a week. We went to a classic car show that her dad had told us both about. I found myself looking forward to seeing her more than I had looked forward to seeing Sandra in a year. I realized I was developing real feelings for her. She was everything Sandra pretended to be. Genuinely smart, funny, and kind, without needing to announce it to the world. But the situation was a minefield. This was my ex's sister. I knew if I just asked her out, it would cause a family implosion and make me look like a scumbag who had just moved on to the next available option. Sandra would use it as proof that I was the bad guy all along. And more importantly, I respected Emily and her family too much to do it that way. Sandra despised anything traditional. She saw it as archaic and beneath her. And that's when the idea hit me. The only way to pursue something real with Emily was to do it in the most respectful, old-fashioned, and traditional way possible. A way that Sandra would absolutely hate. I called her dad, Tom, and asked him if I could take him out for a beer. He agreed, probably thinking I just needed someone to talk to. We met at a quiet, old pub. We talked about cars for a while, about my brewery. Then I took a deep breath. "Tom," I said, "I'm here to ask you for something, and I need you to hear me out. This is going to sound crazy." I told him everything. I told him how my friendship with Emily had grown, how I'd come to care for her deeply, and how I saw in her all the things I had once loved in his other daughter. But this time, they were real. "I know the timing is terrible," I said, "and the situation is a mess. But my feelings for Emily are genuine, and I want to do this the right way. I want to honor your family in a way Sandra never honored me. I'm here to ask for your blessing to ask your daughter, Emily, on a date." He just stared at me for a long time, swirling the beer in his glass. I thought I had completely blown it. Then he looked up at me and a slow smile spread across his face. "Mark," he said, letting out a low chuckle. "My daughter, Sandra, is a mess of a woman who doesn't know what she wants. My daughter, Emily, is the most level-headed person I know. She's a great judge of character. If she sees something in you, then who am I to argue?" He raised his glass. "You have my blessing, but you hurt her and you'll have to deal with me." The next day, I asked Emily to dinner. I took her to a nice restaurant. I was a nervous wreck. After we ordered, I told her I had something to tell her. I recounted my entire conversation with her father. I told her that I knew how complicated this was, but that I wanted to start this off with total honesty and respect for her and her family. She was quiet for a moment, and then she started to laugh. A real, genuine laugh. "You ask my dad for permission to ask me on a date?" she said, shaking her head in disbelief. "I did," I said, my face turning red. "That is the most ridiculously old-fashioned, insane, and genuinely sweet thing anyone has ever done," she said. "Yes, Mark, I'd love to go on a date with you." We started dating. We kept it quiet for the first month. It was our secret. We were building something real, away from all the drama. But eventually, you have to tell people. Her mom found out first, when she called Emily on a Saturday night, and I answered the phone. The ensuing family explosion was, I'm told, of nuclear proportions. Sandra found out and lost her mind. I received a barrage of texts and voicemails that were so unhinged they were almost poetic. I was a snake, a traitor, a monster who had planned this all along to get back at her. I replied to only one of them. She had sent a long, rambling message about how I had betrayed her trust and how what I was doing was fundamentally immoral and against the natural order of relationships. I just texted back, "Sorry, Sandra, I guess I'm just not as evolved as you are. I decided I wanted a traditional relationship after all, and it turns out your family agrees with me. It's been 6 months now. Emily and I are amazing. It's the easiest, most honest relationship I've ever been in. Her dad now introduces me at family gatherings as Mark, the one with good sense. The whole family has embraced us. Sandra, on the other hand, is on the outs. Her evolved affair with Julian fizzled out, as it was based on nothing real. She tried to win her family back, but the contrast between her actions and mine made it impossible. She had disrespected all of them, and I, the outsider, had shown them the respect she couldn't be bothered to. She wanted a relationship that was beyond tradition. She got it. She's now beyond family dinners, beyond the inside jokes, beyond the support and love she took for granted. I just wanted a partner who was honest, and I found one. Turns out the best way to deal with someone who thinks they're too evolved is a good old-fashioned dose of tradition.